This is extremely important. This is most important. I need to have your full, absolute, undivided attention. This is probably the most important thing you will ever know. Now, there are two horsemen, specifically. War, justice. War is Jutter Cane, justice is Cutter Cane. If you use our Titan names, I am the Titan known as Triton. Earlier than Triton, I am the Titan Dagon. Earlier than Dagon, I am Jutter, first son of Kronos. That's how it actually rolls out. Jutter became Dagon, as in Father Dagon, Mother Hydra. And then Dagon was captured by Poseidon, thrown into armor, and turned into a mermaid known as Triton. Before even that, I was Ajax. But we leave out the prophecies of Ajax because they intertwine and they get confusing. Ajax sometimes is the form of the Greek Ajax, and there's also the form of the mermaid Ajax, and there's two different legends. So we actually leave that out. But this is what's important. Think of the long lines of Triton. Okay? Now, we are here and we are cursed. We have several curses. In fact, the number of the fatal fury is the number of curses. I have 9 curses. One of the most fatal curses is, what was I again? I am Father Dagon. That is Mother Hydra. Who is Hydra? I'm not sure. Hydra is my first sister. She is the great Hydra, the 7-headed dragon who will rise from the sea with 7 crowns and 7 heads and a crown on each head. She is the dragon who will devour the child. She is the Tiamat that was slain by etc. or Beowulf or whatever the heck, Thor. She is Hydra. She is the Hydra that guards the golden fleece. She is Fatal Fury number 6. She is my sister. And she is fated to be murdered every single lifetime she lives, and she was even murdered this life in 1986. Now, you have to understand, because she is my first sister, and she is always murdered, all of my sisters are always murdered. Now, they're not always murdered. They do live sometimes. They've managed to break through the chains of some of it, and most of it by living apart from me, and that's how it goes. But to be a spiritual sister, you have to have been murdered at least once, and probably more times. Some of them have been murdered hundreds of times over their existence, from ancient Sumeria to present day. That is the fate of my sisters. That is why this life I have 2 brothers, no sisters. Because every sister born to me ends up murdered one way or another. There is one exception. The exception who was created before the curse. And I won't mention her name. Now, understanding that, you also have to understand Cutter Cane, law, justice. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. I am Jutter Cane. I am the force of chaos. I am not law. I am the opposite of law. I am complete, total chaos. It's probably fitting I put this in a weird place. Now, Cutter Cane, justice, the force of law, has sisters too. But when he was captured as a Titan, because he is Atlas, who holds up the world, he was told that because he holds up the world, his sisters must watch him do it. So none of his sisters can ever be murdered. Mine are always murdered, his are never murdered. Now, that you understand that, you know why it is you cannot be or play Cutter's wheel. A wheel, a roulette game, any concept of a wheel turning, any gambling, any concept of a wheel at all, and you are part of an immortal series of sisters that can never be murdered, and in some cases from ancient Greece could not even die. But that is the point. Okay? That's where Cutter's wheel was born. His sisters were cursed to never die. They must watch him hold up the world and never die. So what did they do? They drank. And then they spun the bottle. And they chose who would watch. And then at some point a god said, this is ridiculous, you have to actually die at some point. And so they spun the bottle to see who would die and who would stand there and watch him live while the other died. And then they were finding out that they were dying and being reborn, but they couldn't be murdered. And that's how the whole concept of a wheel even started. That's where the whole power of everything came from. A couple of drunk girls who spun a bottle for the chance to watch the great Titan hold up the earth. Simple. But because of that, if you are connected to me and you try to play on Jutter's wheel, what happens? You get hit by the pendulum square in the noggin and you get murdered. Because you're on a borderline saying, that's Jutter, that's Cutter, Jutter's sisters can't be murdered, or Jutter's sisters are always murdered, Cutter's can never be murdered. I'm standing with Cutter, except I'm connected to Jutter, so please, here I am, kill me. I'm supposed to die. I'm spinning a wheel, you're supposed to kill me. That's all it is. Every time a quote-unquote soulmate of Jutter Kane plays the drunk game of a wheel, they're announcing to the world that they are connected to Jutter Kane and they should be murdered. They are announcing to the world who his sisters are and that they should be murdered. You can't play it. It's not possible. That's why you are connected to a pendulum. The pendulum is supposed to gauge life and death. It's supposed to prevent you from being murdered. It's supposed to save your ass. Not that it's worth saving if you're going to sit around playing the stupid wheel all the time. This is one of the primary reasons why drunks don't rule the world. Drug addicts don't rule the world. Being drunk, being high, these are not good concepts. Get that shit out of your head. This is also one of the reasons why I am usually sober. And I don't like drunks.